As a marketer, I often get the question, how do I get started with writing? What do I know to say? And the boring answer to this is practice. In this presentation, I shared it with a group of people connected to a company I admire called Athena. We ran through a quick 15-minute workshop, a brief crash course on writing frameworks and models. These are things that through my own practice, I've learned over time what works and what doesn't, and incorporate these writing frames into my writing, basically to help me be a better writer. My rationale for being a better writer is I love being able to transmit what I'm about in written form to other people and light them up. And I think it's a super, as a founder, as an aspiring founder, as a business owner, being able to write persuasively or energetically or being able to convey and communicate a clear idea is a superpower. And so this brief crash course on writing frameworks and models should help you with that. And so my goal of today is basically to teach you something interesting and leave you with some new sources of inspiration for loving writing online as much as I do. And the way I'm going to do that is we're sharing lots of frameworks with you on what's worked and what I've noticed along the way, and I'll provide sources as well. So who am I? I'm Marshy. I'm a growth coach and consultant for early stage and funded startups. I'm an ex-Googler, I'm ex-Facebooker. Don't hold that against me. I've worked with a lot of accelerator programs and I've got almost 20 years of marketing, sales and partnerships. And I thought, here's some extra cred. I actually wrote a book and published it online in 2012. It was a memoir on my experiences with mental health and sexuality. There weren't many people talking about their mental health and sexuality in book format online in 2012. I was one of them. And if you look at the screen, you can see that's a copy of me with my pre-order copies of a book that was called Being Bye Bye, A Tale of Mental Health and Sexuality, and a memoir, sorry. And there I am, sitting at the Google office with it ready to go, looking very different there. And one of the early experiences I had with sort of writing that's really stuck with me, a good 12 years later. This is an online friend I had. I gave them an early copy of my manuscript and they said, your intro is weak, and then proceeded to give me fact bomb after fact bomb about my words and what was wrong with them. And it really was welcome feedback and helped me produce a better book. But this thing he said at the end, I've copied it and I'll share it here with you. Writers write every day. I've done my quota today on you. Point being, I've done today's word count and the numbers for tomorrow too. I tally weekly. Nobody told me to. It's just what I do. I write every day. And so if you only take one thing away from what I'm saying, it's write every day. The frameworks, the models, they will help you. They will help you, give you some support and get you started, but nothing replaces writing daily. And so my sources of inspiration as a writer, I love reading good books. I've read a lot of them. I think there's something to be said for well-composed, crafted words. They can inspire you, absolutely. I also argue that reading bad books is super helpful. Read trash. Read something you don't like and try and sense why it is something that you don't like and be able to articulate that why and have an opinion on it so that when you write, you can do better. I read a lot online. I use a tool called Readwise to capture snippets and things I like online. It works exceedingly well. I write every day. This will be a LinkedIn post. It'll be pumping something up on Instagram. It'll be emails. It'll be my newsletter. I try and write every day because it energizes me. And another source of inspiration are these frameworks and models that I'm going to share with you today. There's no method to this madness. It's literally just a compendium of things that I think are really helpful, and I've tried to attribute where I can. So let's start off with one that I love sharing because my English teacher shared this with me in year 11, and not many people have heard of this acronym. So the acronym that I'm talking about is called TEAL. It stands for topic, sentence, explanation, example, and link. And it can be used to open a paragraph, open an article. It can even be used to formulate a whole essay. And so let me give you an example of how this works. Topic: Luke is presenting about writing frameworks today to this audience. explanation. He believes frameworks and models can help people develop scaffolding that help give people the confidence to produce words and give them training wheels to sort of help them write. An example of this is the Teal framework, which he proceeds to explain in this video. Link. I'm going to share more examples and frameworks afterwards that will continue to impress and help his audience write better. And so, that was off the cuff, but with a link, you can link back to the topic sentence or to the paragraph that's about to come. And that's probably a good segue into the next slide, which I'll get to after I share this screenshot. This is my second book. See, I've managed to plug 2 books in 2 slides. Start Marketing. It is a book basically to answer the question, how do I grow my business with marketing? I know it's important, but I don't know where to start. And so if I had to distill everything I know about marketing and give it to someone who is just starting out, the book Start Marketing is sort of an attempt at that. I take a partnerships-led approach and give you a crash course on sort of all sorts of things to learn and things to know about marketing and research. You can get it for free at lukemarshall.net/startmarketing. Okay, on to the next slide. So this framework was created by the South Park creators, Matt Parker and Trey Stone. I think it's right. But I learned about it via another platform called Presentation Zen. And essentially, in a documentary, Trey and Matt go through a way to kill shit words. And so the way you do this is you've got your beats. So think of a beat as each part of a story. So you've got beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. They should all connect. These can be sentences, they can be paragraphs, they can be things that happen. But essentially what you need to avoid is the and then. So, and what you replace the and then with is therefore and but. So the way to bring this to life is something new, interesting, dynamic, climactic should be happening to follow each beat. So this happened and therefore that led to this. And then, but something came unexpected that completely ruined it. Therefore it did this. But I was able to chop in this and do that. And so it's a really helpful framework for keeping words interesting and vibrant. And if you find yourself adding an and then to the next part of a sequence, it's a good sign that you need to kill it. More information on that link there. So another way to sort of think about this, and I picked this one up from David Perell, very popular and young online writer. He's got a podcast called How I Write, and Rite of Passage is his course that's winding up soon about online writing. I've captured a lot of his frameworks when I was active on Twitter, but I really like this one because it's really simple. So just outline until you're ready to write. So the way this can work is you set the context on the top of the page. This is what I'm trying to do. You outline the questions you're going to answer. So this page, it's going to answer, why a framework model is important, how to confront the blank page, and something else. And then you share your 1-sentence answer to the question. So for each question, what's the answer? And then you can just make sure that each sentence that you're answering on the questions relates to that top of the page, the context. And so you can link it back and just keep following this process and adding questions you want to answer and then 1-sentence answers and linking it to the top. And all of a sudden you've got a pretty comprehensive outline that preps you to write the page, the final version, the final draft. You're welcome. Cool. The next thing is another example I've lifted from David Perell, and it's called Making Writing Clear. And so what I like about this framework is it just spritzes up that Teal framework that I shared with you. So the acronym itself is called CLEAR. Connect to the previous sentence you've done. Link to the following sentence in some way, shape, or form. Eliminate anything that adds confusion. Add some colorful details to make it interesting and remove unnecessary words. Now, CLEAR is a process that you can do to zhuzh up any sort of paragraph that's boring and will help make it respond more clearly. So it's not so good for the start of something, but it can be really helpful as a quick editing framework to make a paragraph or series of paragraphs pop. Another one that I picked up along the way, and I can't remember the exact source for this. I read, I think originally I saw that Hemingway does something like this. He writes notes to himself about what was to come next if it was a long form piece. And so this example I copied from somewhere along the web, and it reads as, whenever I stop writing, I leave myself a 100-word note at the top of the page. If you'd like to do the same, here's what you should write. Where you're stuck, what to work on next time, and what you're thinking about when you stopped writing. So then when you come back to this page, you know you've got some cues as to what that long form was. Another build on this is to actually not finish the sentence you're writing. And so I think that was the bit from Hemingway as well. You just write. And so then I start it and I don't finish, because it's easier to finish a sentence when you come to it and get going again than, to start another sentence from scratch. And what I really like this from a meta lesson is it's helping you, your future writing self. It's like a little postcard or a little, here you go, mate. This will help you in the future. I just love that act of being kind to yourself in the future. That is a meta skill to have in your life. Cool. One last tip that I am a big fan of, and it really helps me get past writer's block and distractions, and I've got ADHD, so that is a very important thing to do, is I will open up a blank text editor. I use Markdown editor called Typora. It actually doesn't matter which one you use. And I will open up that blank thing for an important email, an important piece, a LinkedIn, and I'll go, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. And then I literally just copy it over into the platform, whether it's a Google document, a presentation, an email, and I'm good to go. And so that just helps with distraction. I actually turn off spell check as well, so I can just type and write it. And if I feel like I'm going to get distracted by a Slack or ping or whatever, I'll even turn off my Wi-Fi and just open up the text editor. And then if you look at, I've got folders that have all these snippets over time. So say I did something, I really liked my answer to a bio, say 4 weeks ago, I can actually just go back week starting this, bang, and I've got it there, and it's all searchable. So that is a very helpful life skill that I cultivated a few years ago. So my name's Luke, or people call me Marshy. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a connect request if you like. You'll let me know if this content was useful. And for startups, I've got a ton of content, lukemarshall.net/start here. You can find more, or subscribe on YouTube, where I put these videos, on my Instagram, or, my newsletter, which is just relaunched. It's Early Growth School. You're welcome. See you next time.